Hello, 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 and a very warm welcome to another bite sized marketing chat with me, Miles from Miles Marketing. Oh, well, today, startups and where to start. I mean, I'm looking at my slide now and I can see that there's a bloody typo there. Oh dear, dear, dear. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to swap it for this one. Okay, look at that. Working at it on the fly. Well, um, startups, they come in various shapes and sizes, right? Some have got big financial backing, and I'm guessing that this particular session maybe won't be that useful to them. When you've got millions of pounds to spend and you've got the budgets to do the sort of the big campaigns like TV, but some of this will apply. Okay, some of this will apply. So what I'm talking about here are smaller startup companies that have modest budgets, but some of you out there will be wanting to maybe take your side hustle and make it something. And hopefully this session today will help you, give you some ideas as to what to do. Danny, good afternoon to you as well, Squire. It's nice to know that we are indeed live. I'm just going to, here we go. Will help. Right, just to make sure I don't miss any of the action in terms of questions. So if you do have questions about starting a brand new business, then please pop them in the chat and I will do my very, very best to answer them for you. So where do you start? Well, look, I'm sure that you're going to have a business plan, right? That would be a good place to start. Now, in terms of your marketing plan, the important part, if you don't know where to start, is just to start somewhere. Just start writing some stuff down, and you can start with your main business goals, right? So use your overall business goals and objectives as the main sort of framework and the main arrows in terms of how you build your marketing plan around that. Make sure that how much do you spend? You do need to sort of try and set a budget if you possibly can. Now, I've spoken about this before. On average, between 7% to 10% of your annual turnover should really be the sort of figure that you look to reinvest in your marketing efforts. But you, as a startup, you may not have any money for marketing. So we'll talk about some no cost or low cost ways to start sort of build momentum. Danny's put in the chat, market share, target audience. Yeah, we're coming on to this, Danny. We're coming on to this. Wayne, thank you. Yes, live and ready. So make sure, Danny's stealing my thunder here, target audience. Make sure that you've nailed your target market, because it's very, very easy when you start off to waste a lot of time and effort marketing yourself in the wrong place where your key audience aren't. And I will remind you of what I keep reminding you of often is you can't target everybody. Because if you say that your target market is everybody, you're actually going to be targeting nobody. So take that everybody and pick a proportion of it that you can highlight and focus on. Okay, this is not, don't take it literally that you won't sell your products and services to everybody, but in order to be effective with your marketing messages and your campaign and your budgets, you need to focus somewhere. Okay, so keep your key target market, those avatars, in mind. Make sure that you're really clear on your USP, your unique selling point, proposition, or product, right? What are you going to hang your hat off? What are you selling? What is your main message? Make sure that's really clear. A good sort of barometer here, I suppose, is to ask other people in the business what they think your USP is, right? Make sure that the whole business is cohesive in terms of the messages that they're promoting. This is also important as well, to keep the company values and have an understanding of what sort of tone of voice you want within your communications. So, the big sort of golden four, I suppose, is once you've agreed and understand your target market, just make sure that you keep checking that your values are part of the messaging that you're putting out there. Not every single value all of the time, but make sure that they do sort of reflect, your messages reflect who you are and what you stand for. Make sure that you're conveying things in a tone of voice that is conducive to the way in which you want to be perceived, and make sure that that USP is nailed. Danny's asking a question here, so we'll just answer as we go. Do you think a strapline is as effective or as important as it once was? It really depends, Danny, I suppose, on your product and your services and your brand. I think that it is important to have a strap line if maybe your business name isn't sort of what it says on the tin. I mean, my business name is Miles Marketing. When I'm talking about my business, I say that we make marketing memorable. That would be my sort of strap line. I don't underpin that on my logo, as I think Miles Marketing is really sort of descriptive. But if my company name wasn't so descriptive, maybe I would need to underpin that with something that said marketing services or something to that degree. So I do think that strap lines are important, and I think that they can be effective, but it depends on what your company is, what your products that you offer. Yeah, hope that helps. So the next thing that you need to do is you need to establish your marketing channels, right? Where are you going to market? And, these can be sort of vast, from the big TV advertising that I've talked about to local radio to the local press. But, things like social media are going to be your go-tos. Now, this is my advice for you on social media. Pick one or two social media channels and do them well. Don't make the mistake of thinking that you need to be on them all. I come back to the target market thing. Home in on one and establish yourself there. Because look, social media, it's time consuming. And you can't sort of spread your jam too thin and be effective that way. So if you're B2B, maybe you're going to be thinking about LinkedIn being your social media of choice. If you're, if you're selling a product, then maybe a TikTok or an Instagram would be the place that you need to be. Or maybe, the traditional sort of Facebook if you're trying to build communities and stuff. So pick your platform. Pick one or two. Don't pick 6 or 7, and do them really well. If you've got loads of resource, pick as many as you like, but the majority of startups don't have resource. Mainly everyone is mucking in, trying to cover off all of the different sort of jobs. Think about your website and make sure that that is fit for purpose. The main thing I would say about websites these days is people don't want to interact with people anymore, right? We are so used now to going all the way through the purchase cycle without even speaking to anybody. So just make sure that you've provided all the information people need. And if you can integrate a payment gateway into the process, then, people can actually purchase it without having to sort of get in touch or speak to a human being. Think about your networking. Think about where you're going to network. And the vast majority of startups, you will need to start to form a network, not only potentially to sort of help you out, but to spread the word. The biggest referral that I hear from people is word of mouth. Word of mouth referrals are really, really powerful. So whether you belong to a charitable group like a Round Table or the Lions Club, or whether you belong to the local golf club, or you're a Mason, or you do, structured networking, all of those things are going to be really, really important to spreading the word and boosting your business. Point of sale. This is another marketing channel. Think about your point of sale. Think about maybe your packaging if you're offering a product or something tangible. Think about what you put on your product, how you relay things back. Does your packaging reflect, your USPs? Does it, is there an easy way for people to leave feedback or to recommend you? Okay, if they're happy with your service. I'll come on to that in a second. Think about onboarding. So not on just about your packaging, but if you offer a service, what's your onboarding service like? When someone engages with you, do they get sent out a little pack, either in the post or via email? Do they get a little widget that's sent out to remind them of you? So think about your onboarding process. PR. You may not be able to afford a fancy PR agency, but you can start to drum up your own PR with producing press releases about your products and services and getting them out there. Generally, people won't pick up on you sending out a press release about your new product and service, but maybe the way in which you've started up is important. Maybe there's something of newsworthy about the business, the product, the service that you offer that would be picked up by the media. Having a good PR campaign can be very useful for things that you perhaps wouldn't think of straight away, like SEO. So, by getting featured in an online article with a link back to your website, you're starting to form backlinks, which again will help you be discovered in terms of your inbound marketing. And sponsorship. It doesn't have to be high level. It could be the local football team, the local cycling club. Think about sponsorship opportunities because, again, we spoke about this last week. They're going to have long dwell time in terms of being out there and raising the profile of your brand or product or service within the locale. Danny's saying we made the mistake of ignoring bounce rates. We made the mistake of ignoring bounce rates on your website. Websites, they're a little bit of a dark art, right? And Danny's talking about bounce rates. The bounce rates are all about when people land on your website, how quickly they leave your website when they don't find what they're looking for. And I'm going to say now that one of the big mistakes that people make with websites, and we've all done this, right, is we all make our websites about us. If you're offering a personal service, right? Even if you're offering a product, you make it all about the product. What I would suggest you try and do is try and make your website all about your customer and what your customer is going there to find. It's they ask, you answer, right? When you go onto a website, you are looking for something specific. So give it to them, right? Don't make your homepage all about how bloody wonderful you are. Make it about the thing that people are going to your website about. Okay? Whew, we're rattling through it. Another really good tip for a startup to be efficient with what you do is to create long form content, right? This would be an example of long form content, this webinar, right? So I record it and then I repurpose it. I chop it up perhaps into small little chunks and repurpose that on social media, or I transcribe it and convert it into a blog. But, you know, making one piece of content, long form content, and then repurposing it can be a really efficient way of increasing your marketing efforts without increasing your budgets per se. So think about that. Think about reusing things over and over and over. If you're going to create some video, think about creating a longer piece of video that perhaps is a little bit of a story. And then think carefully about maybe breaking it up into a beginning, a middle, and an end, and think about when you record it, leaving little pauses or sort of breaking it up without it looking like it's being broken up. But so, for example, if I was recording this now, maybe coming to the end of a section and just pausing. And even that pause there for 1 second will allow me to edit it and cut it. But if I keep talking really quickly, then there's no natural way for me to cut it in order to repurpose it. Does that make sense? Okay. You might need to pay to play. You might need to do PPC to get the exposure of your new business, product, or service. I mean, look, it's really hard to give specific advice without knowing what your startup is, as it were, right? So if you have got any particular specific questions, then get in touch and I'll do my very best to give you a sort of a good head start. But, you know, if you start from scratch on social media with 0 followers, you know, you might need to pay to play, to do some advertising on that platform to get the exposure that you need to get some more followers to sort of start to build your momentum. You know, just be aware, though, I would say that you can swallow up a whole lot of money and not get a lot of results. So again, be selective, be specific in terms of where you chuck your money when it comes to pay to play. Have a little think as well about offering, you know, lead magnets, I think is probably what you'll be familiar with, but offering little snippets or little, you know, it's like when you go into the supermarket and they say, do you want to try this nice bit of bread? And then you try a little bit of bread and then obviously you buy the loaf. Think about that. So think about offering free tips. This is what I'm doing with my webinars, right? Each week I offer you know, help and advice around a subject, and hopefully that establishes my authority within the marketing field and you know, drives people to know that I'm here and to use the rest of my services, right? So think about samples, think about maybe free ebooks, think about free trials, think about using maybe influencers on social platforms. The very big influencers that have millions of followers, you probably wouldn't be able to afford, but micro influencers can be affordable. You know, a lot of people out there would be very happy to get some free kit, if you like, or some free product in order to talk about it in a positive manner. I think you just got to be careful that they don't have a bad experience. But again, using influencers can be very good. The one thing I think that, look, I definitely didn't do enough of this when I started, was asking people for their opinions, asking for reviews. I've only just got on the back of the sort of the Google review bandwagon. But, you know, asking people when you've worked for them to leave you a review, and this is where it needs to be integrated, right? So if you've got a process, a follow-up process, make sure that you include a handy little link so that people can leave you a review. I would also say, repurpose them. So when someone leaves you a Google review, lift that sort of copy and dump that onto your website, or even better, integrate Google reviews into your website. Ask people on LinkedIn to give you a review, to give you that sort of that bit of oomph to drive yourself forward. SEO, like, again, this would be one of those sort of dark arts, the old SEO. What is it all about? Well, do you know what the main thing is all about? Is starting to do it and to keep doing it for a long period of time. You don't just do SEO and all of a sudden loads of people are finding your websites. There are a whole bunch of websites out there all doing SEO and all still not getting found, right? So think about SEO, think about engaging in SEO long term, right? 6 to 8 months to a year of hard work on the SEO with a professional to get you found. In terms of low cost things, we're coming to the end now, but in terms of low cost things that, if you're thinking about taking your side hustle and turning it into a business, what can you do that isn't going to cost you a fortune? Well, first place to start is building a database. So pick a CRM system. There's plenty of them out there. We've done a chat on this before. Loads of them offer free to use platforms where you can start to build up your database. So, when you go networking, make sure that you gather people's information, make sure you connect with people on LinkedIn, make sure you plug them into your database. Once they're in your database, and before Danny jumps in and says, don't forget GDPR, don't forget GDPR. Right? You have got a duty of care to manage people's data properly and responsibly. The majority of CRM systems, though, will have a campaign section where you can email your database and they will be GDPR compliant, because all of the big ones will have that sort of opt-in or opt-out or unsubscribe button on the bottom as well. We've done something on emails before, but it is extremely no cost or low cost to communicate regularly and start to sort of build communications with your target market. Let's remember that not everybody is ready to buy all of the time, right? So you need to be within their thoughts when they are ready to buy. We talked about creating long form content. Well, create that long form content and then repurpose it across your emails. Create blogs, create newsletters, repurpose things for social media. Establish yourself as an authority in what you do in terms of what service you provide or a product that you've got. So low cost things are emails, social media, blogs, newsletters, picking up the phone and actually speaking to people, building relationships, all right, having one-to-ones with people, explaining what you do. You are going to have to put some hard work in. Right, so we come to the end of this now. I just wanted to sum up with my top 3 things that you want to think about if you are a startup and you don't know where to start up. Pop any questions you may have in the chat. I'll pick them up before we get off today. Right, top 3 things. Tip number 1, have a plan. Yeah, the amount of companies that I speak to that go, oh no, we haven't got a marketing plan. And maybe you don't know how to pull one together, right? But it doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be 60 pages long, right? It just needs to be the highlights, something for you to work to. Having any type of plan is better than having no plan at all. Think about the company goal. Think about all your activity chipping away to achieve the company goal. Think about your company values, your USPs, your tone of voice. Are you including all of these in your plans. Your target market is so important. You can run around talking to everybody with nobody listening. So you can spend a lot of time and money, all right, fishing in the wrong place, all right? Understand your target market and go after them. Be really tight and specific. And the last thing is think about, within your plan, having a budget. It drives me mad, the amount of customers that I speak to and I ask them what their budget is, and they think it's some sort of game to say, oh, I don't know, or we haven't thought about it. Be real, like have an amount of money in place that you're going to use to market and promote your company. You don't have to spend it all, but certainly if you're going to do some outsource marketing with a specialist, it gives them a really good idea as to what sort of things to put into the plan, right? Because as we know, you can spend millions on TV, or you can keep it nice and low cost. And anyway, so that was number one. Have a plan, company goals, values, USPs, target markets, budgets. Think about those things within your plan. Number two, be consistent. All right. Oh, I mean, the amount of people that stop and start and go, oh, it don't work. And oh, it don't work. It works, but you've got to keep doing it. You've got to keep doing it. Oh, but I've only got 10 people following me or liking my social media posts. Well, keep going, because those 10 will turn into 11, will turn into 12. And over a long period of time, will turn into 100. The first 50, the first 100, the first 1,000, they're always the hardest ones to achieve. Once you start getting momentum, it becomes a little bit easier. Think about the reproduction of content, blogs, social media, website, emails. Be smart about it. Produce one piece of content and repurpose it. And the last tip, all right, is build that social proof. Ask for feedback, ask for recommendations, ask for those reviews to start building your social proof. All right. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. We got it all done within half an hour. Followers snowball if you're consistent. Yeah, look, Danny, it's not rocket science. And I think maybe a lot of people think that marketing is full of mystique. And maybe it's because I've been doing it for so long that I don't think it is. But look, use your common sense and it'll all be good. So there we go. Looking forward to next week. And in 2 weeks' time, we've got David on, and David's going to be talking all about sales calls, telesales. He's got a 7-tip plan to be more effective with your telesales. So tune in to that in 2 weeks' time. But there we go. I can see there's a few people on there. So thank you so much indeed for watching. Mr. Mabbott, it's absolutely fantastic to see you on here, Uncle Wayne. I do hope you and your family are well. Danny, thank you very much for your input today. And until next time, ta-ta for now.